Now, so like I said in the last video, we're going to be taking a look at the 4 years of the MREs this year. Just a quick reminder, we're working off of a 2016, a 2008, a 1996, and a 1982 menu beef stew through those 4 decades. So, just want to take a quick look and let you see kind of what we're looking at today. The first one is the 80s. As you can see, it was definitely a smaller portion than the others. It was only 5 ounces where the others were all marked at 8 ounce. Not sure if I'm going to be hopeful for it or not. There was some delamination on the package, but the package was also folded in the box, so I'm hoping that's why. It was just a creasing that was delamming a little bit. Next we had the 90s, which I got my cards backwards here, sorry about that. Now the 90s looks really good considering it's a 1996, which is about a year older than my son and about 5 years older than my nephew Jay, who's going to be joining me on this taste test. So I'll have a nice objective opinion. It has a thicker sauce than the 80s did. And you can also see a lot more in the way of the potatoes, the peas, and the carrots in there. So considering that it was 96 and we're in 2020, it's got a good definition and it's held up really well. Now the 2000 was a little bit drier. You can see a lot less sauce. You can still see some vegetable in it, but honestly not quite as much as the 90s. So this one's going to be kind of interesting to see. And then the most recent, the 2016, the biggest difference is they went back to the big beef hunks like in the 80s, where the 90s and the 2000 had the smaller punk pieces. So, but you can also see less in the way of veg. I'm not seeing any defined carrots, only a couple of peas, whereas in this one you can see peas all through it. So now we're going to taste these plain to start with, and then we'll add in, because the 80s was the only year that did not include a hot sauce. So the 2016 came with the new white packs that we're used to seeing. Both the 2000 and the 90s came with the Tabasco bottles. And as you can see, this one is from the 90s, this one is from 2000. And you can see that the 90s model is a lot darker than the 2000, and normally that is not a good sign. So, but just to make sure they stayed separate, I marked the 90s with an X on the top so I know which was which. Now we're going to start with the oldest first, that way if there is any issue we'll know. Ooh. Now one thing funny about this one is I actually see right on top a lima bean. That's something I don't see in any of the others. So smells okay. Now for the record, before I put these in the bowl, I did boil them for 10 minutes just to be safe. I had no tingling, no numbness, no metallic flavors. Actually still a real good beefy flavor. Give that a try, see what you think. Now remember, this is 9 years older than you are, so
not bad at all.
matter of fact, when that was made, your dad was just entering middle school, so
Sounds about right.
So the 80s held up really well. Again, the biggest problem I see with it was a 5 ounce portion size. That's kind of questionable. So now the fun one here, this 90s is the one that I remember the most, because this is when I was high school and trying to, you know, picking up from the local Army surplus store, keeping them at work for meals. So this is the one I remember the most. So let's give this one a try. Smells fine. Yep, no tingling, no numbness, so it passes that test. Now, getting a touch of bitterness on the end of this one, so I think it's still good. It's just, it honestly isn't as flavorful as this one. Give that one a try and see what you think. Now this one was when you was 5 years old, so.
I think I like the 80s better.
All right, so the next one we're going to try is the 2000. And this is the one that was really lacking in the sauce department or the gravy department. It's really stiff. Still been sitting here for a few minutes and still holding its shape up. So let's give this one a try and see what we think of it. Gonna go in for the beef first. That one's held up really well. It's got a good flavor. Give that a try, see what you think of it.
It's a lot thicker.
Definitely better than the 90s, but I don't think it has the 80s beat.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So let's give the last one a try, the 2000. And this is 2016. It's what you're finding on the market right now still. Again, like I say, like the 80s, it had the big hunks of beef, so now it's fingers crossed, maybe it's back to the good stuff. While it is bigger hunks of beef, it is a textured beef. This was actual beef pieces. You could feel it breaking apart into individual strings on your tongue. This, give it a try. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Has that chop press form texture, like it was cut up hamburger patties.
The potatoes are really creamy.
That they are. The potatoes are a lot better than the 2000 and the 90s. Still though,
It does taste like hamburger meat.
honestly, if I had to rank the 4 overall, number 1, 2 and 3 tie. Those two are about the same. This one's thicker, that one's looser. This one, the potatoes were a little better, but this one, the beef was a little better. So those two are tied for 2 and 3, and then 90s was last. Sorry. It is just, it's not that good. Now the question is, how much does hot sauce change it?
The potatoes didn't hold up as well in the 80s.
Yeah, so let's try this another little taste here.
Tastes like Idaho and box potatoes.
Hot sauce helps. You want to try it with hot?
Yeah.
There you go.
Good vinegar-based hot sauce.
Yeah, it is. The only thing about the white packets that unless you get the Tapatio, it doesn't list a manufacturer name brand. It just says, you know, hot sauce ingredients.
Cayenne pepper, vinegar, salt.
It's Diamond Crystal brand, so that's all it is, Diamond Crystal Incorporated. This, of course, we all know is the ubiquitous Tabasco. And this I have been burned on before, so not in the sense that you're thinking. Try that, see what you think. Just as a hot sauce by itself.
It's a little old.
A little old, but it held up decently. I'd still eat it. This is the one that has me nervous because the only bad hot sauce I've ever got was in a 92 or 93 corned beef hash. I can't remember which year it was. But you'll find the video further down my list. And it was the only one that ever went bad on me.
It's got that nice brown color to it.
Yes, it does. And It took all of that just to get a drop out. And it definitely tastes old. And it definitely built up a little heat.
Coming down outside.
Yep, we got us a bit of a monsoon season going on, so if you hear a little rain in the background, just ignore it. That built up some heat after it's aging.
You can definitely, it's got a lot more back heat and a lot more vinegar.
Alright, so we're going to get this cleaned up and get the next round ready to go. We'll be back with you in just a few moments, folks. And we're going to check out how the crackers and the spreads held up. Alright, y'all, so we want to take a look at the side items and the drinks now. As you can tell, there is no cup here with the 80s because it did not come with a beverage other than the coffee and the cocoa. So, the 80s, you had your hot coffee and cocoa. You did not have any cold beverages. 90s came with a beverage-based powder lemon lime, and it's not the carb electrolyte, so it is the lovely neon green color, as you can see. And it held up really well. It's got a nice flavor to it. Good, sweet, not overpowering. Take a taste, see what you think.
Tastes like a slightly sweeter apple Powerade.
So, it has about that green color too, even though it's supposed to be lemon lime. Now, the 2016 came with the fruit punch, and it was the carbohydrate electrolyte. So it's a certain brand name that we're not going to mention, as you can see, and it tastes just like
Yep.
tastes just like the 32-ounce bottles you get at the convenience store on a hot day. Now the fun part was the 2008 came with the chocolate dairy shake. And as you remember, those are the ones that came in these funky little bags that would never seal, would explode everywhere. So I just dumped it in the cup and did it that way. And it only uses half the water that the beverage bases use. They use 12 ounces, this only uses 6. So, and you said you have never had a dairy shake powder like this.
Have not.
Try it.
Whey protein. That's not bad at all.
It doesn't have the same back taste as the protein drinks do that they put in now.
Well,
It's more of a Nesquik type flavor. So,
powdered Nesquik.
I knew you'd be excited about that one. Now for the fun part, we get to go to the spreads. So since it's the closest, we're going to go with the 2000, which came with just the standard crackers and the cheese spread. And this has always been my favorite. Nice hiss on opening. Crackers come out mostly whole. Lost a little bit of an edge there. And I'm not even going to try to work with the tear notch. We all know that's useless. Alright, and we're going to do this. Alright, so we are seeing some crumbling off the crackers. Ooh, and we are seeing some scary cheese, even though I sat there and kneaded that for a couple of minutes. Looks really loose and oily still, so eat at your own risk. Smells like regular cheese spread. No numbness, nothing like that.
Mine's bubbling.
It does have that airiness in it.
Good salty cheese.
Yeah, and the crackers work well with it.
It's got a weird back taste.
Mm-hmm. Clean up after myself. Okay. The 2016, they changed from the cheese spread and crackers to a wheat snack bread with peanut butter and strawberry jam. And you also get honey mustard and onion pretzels. So let's take a look at these items first. They don't want to open. We'll make them open. So, basic pretzel nuggets. Not going to say the brand name, but
That's
we know.
exactly who it is.
So the nuggets are good. Great, nice little carbohydrate snack. Now it's the multi-grain snack bread. We all know this fun piece of bread here.
It's a delicious.
And it comes with the peanut butter and the jelly. Now, one thing I am going to say real quick. There's a lot of talk about the best way to knead these, and everybody's got their own method. But the way a buddy of mine taught me when he was in the military, that he said they showed him, place it flat between your palms and roll it back and forth. And that's supposed to knead it perfectly. You notice how it's slack, it's got that air in there. You can feel the edges coming up to hit you. And supposedly it does it the correct way and gets it mixed up faster. I know it I know it shares body heat, so that'll warm it up a little bit. All right. Now the good thing is the jams that they use, they don't just stick with one jam. I've had strawberry, I've had grape, which of course you as well as I know I've never ate. I've got an apple and I've gotten blackberry, so you don't have one single, you get some variety in that, which is a good thing. So, now the one thing I always hated when they give you the PB&J is they only give you a single snack bread. We know they do the twin snack breads, we've seen it in the jalapeno beef patty. You can make you a nice little PB&J, or my favorite thing when they give you the tortillas is the PB&J quesadillas. Yep. Held up well, in good shape. Have you a PB&J on the march.
The bread's cookie texture.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's one thing I can say about the Canadian is they come with they used to come with the loaf, which was nice. Then they moved over to the hamburger bun, which is still handy. The wheat snack bread, it's very dense. It gets the job done, but it could be better. All right, we're going to step back to the 90s now. The 90s, now I'm not going to bother putting this to the camera because there's absolutely no way you can read it. I had to put a flashlight directly on it to be able to read it myself. It is a cheese spread jalapeno, one of the first iterations when they first started putting it in. And as you can tell, it's the old brown packaging. This one has me a little nervous, I will admit. Now, crackers are still nicely sealed. And it's just the regular crackers. Good hiss. So that means there was no breakouts. You can tell the difference. I'll set that there. bring this one back up real quick. You can see the difference in the two. Just right off the bat. I mean, you can tell that one's a lot more holes. It's a lot flakier, a lot lighter. This one, you can see the sparkles of the salt in it. It looks more like an actual saltine cracker that you'd pull out of a package, just in a larger form. So this one first, because we all know these crackers have a bad habit. Okay, they're good. No bleaching, no nasty flavors. On the other hand, the cheese spread, put that down out the way. Looks like something, I'm not going to say what that looks like. Use your imagination, folks. And this is, you try it if you want, that's all up to you. You don't have to if you don't want to. And that shows you how it's actually flaking and rolling off.
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, you got a chemical flavor to it. No numbness though, so that's a positive. But yeah, that chemical flavor is really strong coming through there. I ain't gonna risk that one. Oh, we got a little friend coming to join us.
Spider. That's weird.
No telling. He's gone. Oh wait, there he is. Now he's gone. All right, now the 80s, they gave you peanut butter, and you can barely read that. This, I'm gonna say, scares me too.
I've been needing it for a while.
So this one, I am not going to bother with a cracker. I'm going to do both of these separately. Because I know some of these things can go bad. Alright. So the good thing is no oil came dripping out all of a sudden. Now, there is. It's a lot looser than peanut butter normally is. There you are if you want to try it. You can see it's nice and loose. It'll spread and cover the spoon. No numbness, no tingling, and it honestly, at first has a really nice peanut flavor, but then you get that back end chemical taste. So not the best in the world. Probably wouldn't kill you if you ate it. It could definitely be some nourishment, but wouldn't be your favorite meal. I can tell you that. Yeah, actually held up really well to be 1982 peanut butter. And we all know how quickly nuts will go rancid, so. Alright, we're going to get this mess cleaned up, and we're going to come back with the desserts and the coffees and the cocos and finish this off. We'll be right back with y'all. Alright folks, so we've made it to the end of the program, and we're going to start looking at the desserts that came with all the meals. Now, eagle-eyed viewers at this point is going to be asking two questions. Wait a minute, what about the 80s crackers? You're right, we did not open those. We're going to do that in a second. You've also seen us use 3 brown spoons so far, but not 4 because the 80s MRE did not come with a brown spoon. It came with the original white spoon like the male combat individuals had. So that's what we're going to use on this last section. That way everything got used. Now one thing that I find really interesting is the way that the accessory kits have gone throughout the years. So I went ahead and threw them over here. We're all familiar with them. We're all aware of them. And we all know some of the stuff is going to be standard. You got your chewing gum. And of course you've got, wrong one, your toilet paper, always Lighthouse, even all the way back here. This one came with the blue TP, but Oh, no, wait, that isn't a White House. I can't read the name on that one. So the 80s came with the blue. After that's when they went to White House. You can see in the 90s. You can see in 2000s. In 2016. So they stayed pretty much with it. Matches are something that has changed throughout the years. As you can see, in the 80s and 90s, they're always DD Bean and Son, but they had the glossy cover with the white stripe. You can see that here as well. 2000, still glossy, but the white stripe disappeared and the writing got darker. 2010s, gloss is gone, it's just a standard cardboard look, but still always DD Bean and Son, providing matches to the U.S. military for decades. So, let's take a look at some of our accessories now. Oh, and I forgot to mention one thing. My fault, folks. They all had salt. Salt in every single one. Here's the 90s. The 80s. So, changed throughout the years. 2000s. They pretty much stylized. So we got salt, creamer, there we go. I was about to say we're missing a sugar somewhere. No, we are missing a sugar. No, we're not. Still in the bag. My fault. Alright, so we're going to start back here. New school. Everybody knows what I call that. It's the genital coffee. I'm not impressed with it. Not a fan of it. It's just a standard freeze-dried coffee. To me, it does not have any taste. Very mild. Really needs help. And we're going to do these exactly how they have you do them. Coffee cream and sugar in every packet. Except for the 90s. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. And we'll move the rest of this to the side as well. Alright, so in 2010s we had the Genial. 2000s we had the Good Taster's Choice. Not the brick version that usually molds. This one is still good. As you can see, a nice perfect cup of coffee. And of course, we'll add the cream and the sugar. Now, the 90s did not come with coffee. The 90s, as some of you have already spotted, came with a iced tea mix with lemon. And as we all know, this stuff is actually really good. So, I brought our 80s cup that we never used back in, so that we could make us a spot of tea. And we have plastic that wants to stay with us thanks to static electricity. All right. Give it a nice little mix. Now it's interesting because they do offer cream in the accessory packet, but it doesn't have coffee. Let me move these over here real quick. Now, the 80s, we had our favorite, Coffee Instant Type 1. Now, I've done a previous video with this, and we know it is good. We know it stays great. So, since the 80s gave us two beverages, everybody knows what I'm about to say. We're going to make us a mocha. Ooh, we may not, because this cocoa beverage powder is really delaminated. Sorry folks, I normally try to have the beverages done so you're not sitting through this, but with these being as old as they are, I wanted y'all to take a look at them. This cocoa beverage powder smells really great. Take a whiff of that. But can always be dangerous because of the powdered milk in it. And it is because I'm getting a bad aftertaste. So that one's skunked, folks. I apologize. We're not going to risk it. That one's really skunked. I'm going to pay for that later. Luckily, back in the 90s, we had another cocoa beverage. So let's give this one a try and see what we think. Yeah, this one's a little bit better. Still that nice coloring. Still smells. Not as rich as that one smelled.
It's got a weird twang.
Yeah, but that one doesn't have any weird aftertastes. So that one we're going to risk. We're going to give it a taste and see how it does. Now before I put anything in these cups, I like to do water first. Because that cocoa powder or that cocoa beverage does not want to mix well. Coffee, I don't mind putting the coffee creamer and sugar in first. The cocoa, it's different. We'll put a touch more water in simply because. All right. Start off with some cocoa. And of course, we're going to pile all this together. We're going to take a look at that in a minute, and that's why I had you get the special glass out. All right. So now let's do the coffee for the 80s. Where did I find
Spider ran back across.
There he is. Now pardon us, we're going to do a little pest control here. Sorry, Shocker. We know this is your job, but we're going to take care of a little bit of it. It's coffee type 1. This is the same stuff that was in that canned MCI that tasted so good. And as you can see on my shirt, it is still in perfect powdery form. And that just smells good. It smells like perfect coffee. Before I put this creamer in, I'm not pulling a drug deal, y'all. Trust me.
Looked kind of druggy.
Yeah, no. Looks can be deceiving, though. yeah, still tastes fine, so it's good to go. And of course, our sugar. Now, this is where you're really going to come in handy because, as some people are well aware, my taste buds are still not exact. So, helping with the coffee is going to be really good. For the record, for those of y'all that don't know, I had a recent issue with some medication, a bad reaction. Ever since then, my taste buds have been kind of off. Coffee and chocolate both do not taste right to me anymore. So my future reviews involving those items may be a little iffy, but I'm still going to try to give you as much of an honest review as I can. All right. So we have our drinks. So let's get something to eat with them. All right. So 2016, they went with the trans fat free, that's this year's buzzword, fudge brownie. And I have heard really good things about these. Ooh, that thing is definitely moist. It is dense. It looks nice. Trying to clean as I go, folks. I'll set that to the side. Now, 2000s, we had the lemon poppy seed cake. We love the pound cakes. Now, it's been a while since I've had one of these, so I'm going to be kind of curious to give it a try, see if it's how I remember it. Now, move these accessories. The 90s, you had a couple of desserts. We had the ubiquitous M&Ms. You can tell that is an old package. But what you can't read here is also came with a oatmeal cookie chocolate covered. So let's see, yeah, I've had a bit of melting from the looks of it. See if I can get this out whole without doing any damage. Without making too big of a mess. Yeah, this is pretty well adhered to it. There we go. Alright. Oatmeal cookie chocolate covered. Now back in the day those things were gold. They were excellent. But the biggest prize of all, and the one that makes me the most excited, and no, it's not the cherry nut cake, but we're going to get to that. Now, I don't have much hopes for this cherry nut cake. 9 times out of 10, the nuts in these things go rancid fast. But we're going to keep fingers crossed, you never know. Definitely no adhesion, no vacuum sealing. It is loose. Actually smells quite normal. There's no off smells to it. But as we all know, nuts really go bad really fast. But the one thing I'm excited about, the item worth its weight in gold, is the freeze-dried fruit mix. Folks, we love the fruit mixes. Now, this, as the label says, is from Oregon Freeze-Dried Foods, which we all know is a division of Mountain House. Mountain House puts a 30-year guarantee on their freeze-dried items. This was produced 11/21/82. So that would mean we are right at 48 years. No, 38 years.
38.
Sorry. I feel bad, can you tell? And the thing about this is, even though it's not a vacuum sealed package, it is still a solid, crisp block, because when I squeezed it earlier, part of it cracked. Yes, I know it looks like a piece of styrofoam. That was the thing about it. And we're going to try to test something today that Gundog has told me about before, that I have been curious about. What they used to do is rehydrate these. They would take and open up the package, just like I'm doing here, and they would pour liquid inside to rehydrate, which was normally an airline bottle. We don't have any airline bottles, we buy full size. So what I have here is some lovely coconut rum, and we're going to Gundog this and see how it rehydrates. And it's already melting, I can feel it. Alright, so we're going to leave that a moment to let it rehydrate. Now, the crackers we forgot earlier, these are the ones I'm excited about. I heard a lot of good things about these. They're the smaller crackers. Had a hiss, they kept their seal. Ooh, some definite delamination from pulling the plastic. And that did not fully break, so let's go on this side. Cut us another notch. I got it. Ooh, now those have some very visible salt on the top. You can feel it, not just see the sparkles. They do have a little bit of an aged smell. But I'm going to try a piece just to find out.
It's a lot of salt.
Yes, it is. Okay. Doesn't have the bleach flavor that they'll get sometimes. Doesn't have a chemical flavor, but definitely has an aged flavor. So you can definitely tell they're a little bit old. All right. So again, we're going to start new to old. So the first thing we're going to try is the 2010 coffee, which we all know is crap. Give it a try and see what you think.
Tastes like warm milk.
But maybe the brown definitely has an aged flavor, so you can definitely tell they're a little bit old. All right, so again, we're going to start new to old. So the first thing we're going to try is the 2010 coffee, which we all know is crap. Give it a try and see what you think.
Tastes like warm milk.
But maybe the brownie will help. Dense, fudgy. Not quite homemade, but not that bad.
It's actually not as dense as I was expecting.
Kind of like the Little Debbie brownies, just without the icing on the top.
Yep.
Now, take a step back to the good old Folgers, or sorry, Taster's Choice. That has a little more coffee flavor to it. You need the knife for that one?
It actually does kind of taste like coffee. It's almost there.
Lemon poppy seed pound cake. You don't have any drug tests, do you?
No. Not today.
Lemon flavor comes through first thing. You feel the crunch of the poppy seeds.
That's really good.
The one thing I wish I'd brought was MRE Nation and Minotaur MRE has been doing the cream cheese icing or the sweetened condensed milk packets. Those would have been excellent on that.
Yeah.
That would have made that. That is good. All right. Now, so we can answer one question. How well do M&Ms age? Well, as some of y'all may know, the reason that the military went to M&Ms it was actually, they were pan-coated chocolate dips were created by the Spanish for the military because pan-coated chocolate would not melt, which is where M&Ms got their melt in your mouth, not in your hand moniker. These have not melted, but they have definitely been smashed a little bit. That lovely old school, trying to hold M&M. They just like the one we get off the shelf today. Nope. They hold up. They really do. Now, if you can hear a nice little crunch, or chocolate covered oatmeal cookie. Now, if I was out in the field getting chocolate oatmeal cookie, beef stew, and M&Ms, that would have been a day for me. Chocolate's a little waxy, but still real flavorful. The crunch of the oatmeal comes through good. Now, our tea beverage, which you can see is dark. Now, I'm going to give fair warning here. We're going to be very judgmental about this. We're Southern boys. We know sweet tea. All right. You can definitely tell there's lemon in it. If I was thirsty and I'd been drinking nothing but water, I'd love it. Other than that, it's all right.
It has a far more lemony taste
Mm-hmm.
than tea.
All right. More cocoa. Let's see how it rehydrated here. It came out good. Give that a try, see what you think.
That's not bad at all.
No, especially not to be, what is it, 21 years old? Nope, 96. 24 years old.
Yep.
So, let's see that real quick. All right, so this is the one that I'm nervous about. This one, your choice if you want to try it or not. Cherry nut cake. These things were great back in the day. It's kind of like a dense fruit cake, just with more cherry flavor. They used to be really good, but unfortunately, like I said, with the nuts in it, they tend to go bad really fast.
It looked like you were pulling some on the cannonball plug right there. The way that ripped.
Uh-huh. Oh, no numbness.
That was a cherry.
No rancid flavor. I just had a nut. I think that might have held up. That's pretty good. Hey, I'm surprised. So let's try that.
Had one weird spot right there.
Let's follow that up with a little coffee. And see, that's what coffee's supposed to taste like.
Much better.
I'm sorry, folks. If you get a chance to get some Type 1 coffee, do it. Trust me, do it. Don't hesitate, buy it. That's how coffee is supposed to be. Now, the one thing that I have been waiting on, that I've just been so excited about. Grab you a bite. And yes, it's going to have a texture of styrofoam. Mm. 38 years.
I don't cut it all out.
No. The Mountain House, you might be able to move it up to a 40-year guarantee. That's 38 years and it's still good. But now,
It tastes like the rice cake flavor.
texture-wise,
That's a texture. Yeah.
texture of rice cakes, but the taste of the fruit cocktail. But let's try it with a little coconut. As you can see, it rehydrated great. Went back to a nice gel. You can see humps of fruit. Let me get a better over here. You can see it. You can see there are humps of fruit in there. Well, beyond the burn of the alcohol, because that was the 80 proof run. Oh, no, wait, 70 proof, isn't it?
I think it's 80.
Yeah. Beyond the burn of the alcohol, I got the texture of the pear, and I got the texture of the peach, and I had the flavor of the cherry with the coconut. So rehydrating it with alcohol does work, and definitely makes for an interesting flavor.
I can smell the coconut. That's not bad at all.
No, it ain't. Okay, Mountain House, I don't know if you want to advertise that, but Gun Dog, you hit it right. That's, if I ever get a hold of any more freeze-dried fruit mix like that again, I think that's what I might be doing. I might not use the coconut, but I don't know, it kind of gave it a nice little tropical flavor.
Yeah.
All right, well, folks, we're going to have us a little dessert party here. So that's MREs through the decades. I mean, you see, everything is held up. We're looking at 38 years for the oldest one, all the way through 2016, so 4 years old. Everything's held up great, with the exception of, you know, the cheese spread, a couple of things. Everything has been really tasty, and you can see how things have changed throughout the years. So hope y'all enjoyed the information. We're going to have us some more snacking. Y'all have a good one.
That's good.
Yeah, it is.